Gorilla Tag is one of the most popular and influential games in VR history. And in this video, I'm going to talk about three key topics. First, why is it so darn popular? Two, is there anything here for adult gamers? So, Gorilla Tag is notoriously extremely popular with kids, but is it worth your time as an adult gamer to play it? And then three, as a parent of young gamers, is it okay to let your kids play Gorilla Tag? So let's jump right into that first topic, and that is, why is Gorilla Tag so darn popular? Well, I just mentioned that Gorilla Tag's primary audience is kids. This game is extremely popular with kids. And just to kind of highlight the popularity of Gorilla Tag, if you check the MetaQuest store's charts of most downloaded games on any given day, week, month, you are going to see Gorilla Tag near the top of the charts consistently. It's always up there. It's also known to have a very active player base playing the game all the time. Now, one reason for that is obviously it's a free to play game. So, free to play games are typically going to rank higher on the most downloaded games. They're going to also have a larger player base. But the thing that has really, I think, separated Gorilla Tag from a lot of other free to play games to give it staying power and such a consistent fan base is it's really kind of created a large social aspect, I feel like, with its audience, where the developers have done a great job of doing events and supporting the game, having seasonal different mini games and all types of stuff going on to really keep its fan base engaged. Now, I just recently started playing. About 3 weeks ago, I got the game for me and my kids to give it a try, and I wanted to see what my kids thought. So the two of my boys that played it are my 10-year-old and my 5-year-old, and they were immediately hooked. They loved the game like right off the bat, and I was a little surprised because they haven't really ever played a VR game with that Gorilla Tag style movement. Now, if you don't know, the main crux of what Gorilla Tags is all about is its movement style. So I'm not a VR historian to say it's the first game that's used this movement style, but it's definitely the game that's popularized it and put it on the map. And that's that locomotion of like being a gorilla, where you're going to move by moving your arms like this to kind of pull and grab and move around the map that way. So you're literally you're moving your arms like this and climbing up trees by grabbing and moving. And it's very intuitive and it works really well. But I didn't know how quickly my kids would adapt to it. And I think this is part of the credit of why it's so popular is for whatever reason, my kids picked it up really quick. I mean, honestly, they picked it up as quick as I did. They had it down really well to just start moving around the map and exploring almost right away. So that is a real credit to the developers, to that ease of entry of the game, where you can boot up and start having fun with it really quick. And I think that is one of the things that has really made it popular, is especially when your target audience is kids, you want to make sure when they boot up a game, they are having fun right away. At least if the kids are like mine, if they have to go through a long process to learn all the controls of the game, then they're going to lose interest quick. Gorilla Tag, there are no buttons. You literally, the whole game is just based on moving your arms. And so there's no buttons to remember, no complicated controls. That's it. You just are moving around the map. And then the game has certain mini games, mostly pretty simple things, like the one they play the most frequently is called Infected. One gorilla is infected and is trying to basically tag the other gorillas to make them all infected as well. But yeah, that's pretty much the game, right? Now, I think one of the things that has really made the game popular, like I mentioned, was the social aspect. But that isn't what's made the game popular for my kids. My kids really enjoy the exploration aspect. And that is interesting to me because Gorilla Tag is not some big open world game. It's a few self-contained areas that are not huge. I mean, they're okay size, but there's not like an endless amount of things to explore. But my kids really enjoy climbing and finding every nook and cranny of the map. And they kind of play their own role playing as gorillas and get in their own imagination while they play, which is cool. And they really, really enjoy it. And I think that's important to note because for the social aspect, I have turned that aspect basically off for my kids. When I first jumped into the game, I was bombarded with vulgarities and racial slurs from the other kids playing the game that I immediately looked for ways to turn it off. And to the developers' credit, they give you a few options. You can obviously go in and mute individual players if you want to still have that social aspect and talk with some, but mute the players that are being vulgar. Or in my case, because my kids are relatively young, 10 and 5, we do not, me and my wife, allow them to voice chat with players in any game that they do not know. We only let them do voice chat with their in real life friends or family members. And so I thought it was cool that Gorilla Tag did have a feature to basically make all the other players sound like monkeys when they talk. So my kids can really get into that role play aspect of being gorillas and interact with the other players, but when the other players try to talk to them, they just make monkey sounds, which could sound like it's off-putting, but my kids actually really like that aspect of it. So again, I think the game, what's made it so popular, the social aspect, how intuitive it is, and then the developers really doing a good job supporting the game. I think those are really the three things that launched it. But I think the magic sauce was just how simple it is to learn that movement style and pick up and play. Now, on to the second topic. Is this game for adults? As an adult gamer, should you give this game a chance? For me personally, that is really a no. I played it, and I get it. The movement is fun to move around the map. But again, I think the large thing of the game is the social aspect. I'm not interested in that since the player base is mostly younger children, and as I said, my first taste of that wasn't super pleasant, as the kids were quite rude and vulgar. And then for my kids, even though they don't have that aspect, they really get into the whole role playing as a gorilla, and it's not really for me. And then the actual mini games in the game are fine, but nothing that really hooked me to be like, oh, I gotta play that again. So as my own personal taste, this is not for me. It's a very well done game. The developers have done a great job, but for me, it's not for me. And I don't think it's for most other adult gamers. On top of that, I think the game is very, again, my opinion, very ugly. I don't like the graphical style, the way it looks. It just looks very old and not my style, right? But again, I'm not the target audience. I don't think adult gamers are really the target audience for Gorilla Tag. Now, as a parent, am I going to continue to let my kids play Gorilla Tag? That is a yes, I will. I was really happy that they got so excited about it. My kids don't mind that they aren't able to chat with the other players. They kind of like just hearing the monkey sounds. I like that they really are into it. It gets their imagination working. And it's also good exercise. My kids have broken a pretty decent sweat playing and moving their arms and trying to climb. It's a good little active thing they can do in the house that gets them moving around and wears them out a little bit, gets them some exercise in a fun way. So I definitely would recommend this for you to let your kids play. With the one exception of if, they're not going to get into the imagination aspect of like role playing a gorilla, then they're going to mainly rely on the social aspect. Then as a parent, I would highly recommend you just be cautious in listening with them as they play. I'm not saying every play session you're going to have kids in there who are being vulgar. There is going to be tons of times where you play and they'll have a good experience being social with the other kids. But I would always make sure they're supervised when they play if you do have that voice chat enabled, just to be careful of what they may be exposed to. But again, that's not a recommendation just for Gorilla Tag. Anybody who plays online games know online you're going to hear some vulgar things when playing with strangers. That's part of it. So you always got to just be careful. But yeah, definitely think it's worth checking out if you have kids. Now, quick note, I mentioned how influential Gorilla Tag has been in the VR gaming world. It has influenced a ton of other games. A lot of like spin-off Gorilla Tag fan games, right? That don't look great quality. But there has been some games that look really, really good and are really good quality that have been inspired, at least partially, by Gorilla Tag. And some of these are good for adult gamers. So I'm going to be doing a follow-up video here very shortly, talking about a couple of them and why you as an adult gamer should give them a try. And they could be like the next step up for your kids who love Gorilla Tag. These could be the next kind of evolution in their VR journey they're playing them. So definitely subscribe to the channel to catch that video here coming soon. And as always, like the video, comment below your thoughts on Gorilla Tag. I really appreciate you watching this video, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.